Hi, everybody. Hello.
Hello.
Russ is going to be. We'll get to this in a minute, but you're probably going to see a lot of the top of Russ's head in this episode. Thanks for joining us once again. This is episode 6 of Tale of Four Heresy Gamers. And we are just a few days out from our first sort of deadline, which explains that going on down there. We are a few days out from meeting up at Warhammer World to do a few Zone Mortalis games with, in theory, our fully painted 1,000 point Zone Mortalis armies. So yeah, in this episode, we've got pretty close, I think. So in this, there might be a bit of panic painting this week, but in this episode, we are going to go through what we've done, how we're doing. We're then going to look at all of your progress and just go through a few other things. We've been testing out the Zone Mortalis rules because it'd be really useful to actually know what they are. So we're going to test out that and have a chat about some games we've played. We'll see you after this. Hey everyone. So yes, this weekend on December the 4th, we will be testing out our armies. I was going to say for some of us it's the first time, but we'll get to that because it isn't. We've all played some Zone Mortalis now. Everyone. What did we think about Zone Mortalis? We've all played a game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I actually managed to play my first game against my friend Rich.
Yeah.
Who lives quite far away from me. We did some digital gaming.
As we can see here, the models are actually really quite well done.
Yeah, it took a little while to actually find some proxies, and some of the units aren't quite what they look like. The Leviathan, World Eater's Leviathan is just a Contemptor and things like that, but it was close enough for just trying out the rules.
What did you think? Your first game of Heresy?
Yeah, so first game of Heresy, there's definitely some interesting design choices. As we've said many times, the universal special rules are too numerous and too spread out.
Yeah.
And there are quite a few that are actually really very, very similar, or rules that are named very similarly that do completely different things.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mess, but it was quite fun.
I've played like 6 or 7 games now, and I'm still looking at the difference between breaching and rending.
Breaching and rending, and then shred.
Yeah.
Rending and breaching sorted out now.
And the fact that Armorbane and Fleshbane do completely different things despite having very similar names.
Yeah.
But I had fun. I was the defender for the mission, so as an Imperial Fist player, that was quite on theme and meant that I won because I just sat on objectives whilst the World Eaters came closer and closer and closer, and then they took some objectives at the end.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
We found, Russ, when we played, we found we played a game where we were going in with like 10-man squads or 12-man squads and maybe 2 or 3 squads. And it went really one-sided very quickly based on who could hold objectives. And I think one of the things I hadn't realized is that you're almost certainly better off having smaller squads, multiple small squads with line, rather than 3 big killy squads, because you just the one scenario that they give you for Zone Mortalis is an objective one. So you're sort of
get a secondary points for killing more.
Yeah.
But that is 1 point, which does it. It could sway a tie, but it's not going to win compared to getting 2 points a turn for holding 2 objectives.
Well, one of the things,
especially when one of the players starts on an objective.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. Or I had some infiltrators who could come in, or my reserves arrived first, didn't they? So I could come in from the side and just take them.
I think one thing that's really important, actually, is that we just said the whole edge was a deployment zone. What we should have done is actually just nominated points. I think that made a big difference.
Yeah, I think having a specific corridor. Yeah.
And I think if you can get a unit without flank and be able to come in from the other entry points, that could make a big difference. Which is how I thought it. For some reason, I had this idea that's how it worked in Zone Mortalis anyway, and it was a bit more chaotic. But no, it's you just come in from your own board edge as usual, but only from an access point.
The other thing that we might have played that wrong. the other thing that we noticed is that the Zone Mortalis rules have a slight difference in how you do those victory points. So you do your first lot of points, and then you only count the secondary objective if the primary objectives are a tie.
Yeah, which is a big difference for some armies.
Yeah.
But it's sensible in a way because some of the rights of war. So, for example, if you've got Headhunter Leviathan or Decapitation Strike, then
I don't
suddenly
think those count in Zone Mortalis anyway. I think it's only the ones written on the.
Does it stop you using those special objectives?
I think it does, but maybe I can't quite remember.
I was a bit disappointed because I was using the Karash in one of them, and then I realised that the whole thing of I've denied you any victory points from killing my models is irrelevant because you don't get any from killing my models in Zone Mortalis. What's interesting is it's so I've been reading I've been reading early stuff on the new boarding assault rules for 40k, and those are actually quite. One of the things I forgot was that did we used to have more than one mission in Zone Mortalis?
I believe so.
I might have a look through the old versions and resurrect them, but I've also been looking through the new boarding assault stuff and seeing if there's anything I can steal there from like fun missions that could be in. Because there was definitely more to the old Zone Mortalis stuff than there is now.
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see an expansion for 30k that's a whole book with Zone Mortalis, with a bunch more missions, and this just be like something to keep the community going.
I was going to say that before you did, and I think you're exactly right.
Yeah. So look, we've all been trying out Zone Mortalis. It's going to be fun. We've got the what are usually the Necromunda boards, Warhammer World. I can't remember. I think they're 3x3 boards.
The ones I've played on them before for Necromunda because I went up for a thing when Necromunda was brand new, and I think they are actually 4x4.
Oh, cool. Okay. But and they've got like options. You can go and stand on top of the walls and things, so we may or may not use that. But
a lot of them have, they've been built up. That was actually like the first thing where they started being a bit more three-dimensional with those tiles. And then once they'd done it at Warhammer World, I think that's when they started to include the idea of sort of pseudo 2D/3D boards a bit more in some of the rules. Because before that, it was either 2D or 3D.
Yeah.
And I think it was those boards at Warhammer World that inspired them to be a bit more flexible about how you interpret things like that.
They're really lovely boards. They've got little like sideboards in hazard stripes for your Necromunda gang and cards to go on. So so that's what we're going to do. We've all been playing some Zone Mortalis, and we will go up on Sunday and see how we do. So in theory, we've all now got 1,000-point armies, right? So let's look at what we've done, and we are going to start with Russ, who is currently frantically painting his.
So
hey, Russ, how you doing?
So now I have to put the brush down and actually talk at the screen, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. You need to I should have given you some warning time to clean off the brush.
I'll talk while I clean the brush. I'm not doing too badly, but I don't think I'm going to have everything done. But I do plan to have everything in a sort of a usable state, even if it's not completely finished.
You're going up on the Saturday, aren't you? So you could always do the traditional pre-tournament late night painting session.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a definite possibility at the moment. I've also got all day tomorrow that I can be frantically getting stuff done.
Right. These are looking good, though. The iron circle looking... So we should say that in all of these, the plan is to go over the pink is the base for the yellow, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
The pink is a base for yellow. I'm hoping that sort of 2 thin coats of yellow will do a good job of going over that pink.
Okay.
There is always the nightmare scenario that I need 3 or 4 thin coats of yellow, in which case they're going to look very messy still at the weekend.
Okay, great.
But yeah, they're really close to having the yellow put on. All I need to do is go over a few of the details in grey, because basically all there's going to be is yellow and the white and blue with silver and grey. I might put on a few bits of brass here or there.
Mm-hmm.
But
just to break up the silver.
They're pretty damn close to finished.
I'm not looking forward to seeing those in Zone Mortalis stomping towards me.
I mean, they're not as good as Contemptors, but they are good for Zone Mortalis. I mean, I assume they're going to be anyway. I might use them so badly that they're absolutely useless.
How many points are those two guys in your 1,000-point army?
285.
Oh, okay. That's not. I thought they were going to be way higher.
150 for the first one, 135 for the next one. Yeah. So in terms of like comparison to a Contemptor, they're not like. I mean, one Contemptor versus one of these will kick its ass. I would be surprised. I mean, I would think two of these would take out a Contemptor on its own, but I don't know if they both survive doing it. You know, I mean, I've not even used them in a game yet, so we'll find out. But just comparing the stats a little bit, I think they'll be good, but not as scary as if it was two Contemptors, because that would be insane.
Yeah. And then you've got two tactical squads with their. I'm just noticing their fantastic Vexilla proxies.
Oh yeah, with the
pile of skulls.
Yeah, I didn't want to use the Vexilla that comes in the game because it looks very sort of militaristic and iconistic. Whereas I wanted something a bit more, gruesome with. So I've got the helmets and I've got the skulls. I suppose I could have actually mixed up skulls and helms on each one, but I've done it now. But yeah, I've got quite a lot to do on these two squads. But these two squads are the things I really want really properly done.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they're based. That helps. The green ones look really dark in this photo. Actually, they look a bit brighter in real life. But the green looks really dark, and the base in particular looks really dark.
Yeah. But
I think I'm going to lighten that up with a quick dry brush anyway. I think that will help make them look a bit less. Because otherwise, by the time they get oils on, they'll be super dark.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about oils is you can take them off afterwards.
Well, yeah, and that's. I mean, the trouble is, this is why I don't want to try and rush the oils too much because it will be the first time I've properly used oils. I've done the practice ones that I showed, like I think last video.
Yeah.
So I've done some practice with oils, but I'm still slightly nervous about going over all my hard work with oils and ruining it. So I kind of want to like get everything sprayed with my gloss varnish.
Yep.
And then sort of do a few models at a time.
Yeah. I mean,
rather than just like do it all and ruin it and be like, oh my God, I ruined my army. I hate it. I quit.
It's. I would say that like one of the nice things about it is remembering that you can take it off again. Like you can remove it afterwards, which means you can get to a point, certainly. And I realise I'm a bit messier with my oils than a lot of people. A lot of people use it like panel lining as like a clever way of panel lining where they can remove it quickly. Whereas I tend to use it as like an all over.
I kind of want to do a bit of each.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do it a bit messy. But what I might do is do some black panel lining and some brown washing and do a thinner wash and a thicker wash.
Yeah. I mean, I just try it. Just mix something up, try panel lining, and try
see how it goes.
A full-on like army painter dip style. Yeah. Just see what it's like.
Yeah. The other thing I definitely need to get a lot more done on. I can't possibly put my my Forge Lord on the table the state he is in.
Yep, he's got a bit more to do.
Needs paint.
He might be. He can be quite metallic though.
The Terminators might just have base colors. I mean, I've done some legs on one of them before we started filming. So he's got pink legs, which will obviously be yellow. So basically, I've worked out that the Terminators, they've got 3 different armor types on there. So I've decided that all of the Tartaros Terminator components came from Emperor's Children that we ambushed.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be, Nathan's army. And then all of the cataphracti bits, I need to decide between greyish Space Wolvesy bits or blackish Ebon Keshik bits.
Yeah, Ebon Keshik are Tartaros.
Are they?
Yeah,
that ruins it then.
But I do have some.
Just there in there.
I am painting some black cataphracti though to go with them to be in part of the crash. So I will have white stock ones.
Oh, well, maybe I'll just do that. So they're from, bits I ambushed and stole from your army then.
But basically, you can do grey, yellow, and black cataphracti if you want.
Yeah, because the Indomitus will then have been stolen from, Bobbie's army.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, they're going to be a bunch of people who've scavenged things from, by ambushing your armies.
Yeah. I've got some Indomitus and some cataphracti in my word bearers as well.
Right, okay. So I could have some cataphracti bits in red. Although I've got some word bearers colours already they clearly nicked this Mark IV armor from your word bearers.
Brilliant. So that's good. So you've still got. I mean, we say it's no time, but you've still got like 5 days, like best part of a week.
I've got all day Wednesday. I've got probably not much time Thursday evening, but a big chunk of time Friday evening.
Yeah.
And then I can just stay up all night Saturday and turn up at Warhammer World like this.
So I reckon this will go out on Thursday, which means if you want to like randomly spam Russ on Twitter and Instagram, the handle's there below to give him some encouragement. At 50_painting.
Works in progress on. I'll post some works in progress on Instagram at some point.
Going.
I'll probably like doing updates on Instagram as we go tomorrow.
I think now is the time to start that Twitch stream. But yeah, cool, brilliant. Well, look, that is loads of updates, and you've still got a fair amount of time. And I'm sure everyone here will be barraging you with encouragement over the next few days. Good luck, and I'll prepare a 750-point list just in case. Bobbie, you've done loads. You've always been well ahead on this. Well, how are you doing?
A little bit. I mean, I'd had got some stuff already done. Well, pretty much done for the last video. But yeah, I've been sort of working along. Obviously, Fafnir ran. I've done a couple of extra little details on him, but he's still not quite. He's not quite there.
No.
He looks all right though.
I'm enjoying your angry apothecary though.
Yeah, the apothecary who looks like he's about to give someone an unwanted operation.
Yeah. He's about to tell.
Surgical instrument is huge. Surgical chain bladed surgical instrument.
About to tell you that you haven't done enough exercise in the last month.
It is very, very 40k. Oh dear. Very good.
I'm quite happy with how he's come out. The parts for him just sort of fell together, and yeah, definitely. I think he needs some more transfers on him, and maybe some freehand for like apothecary symbols, and need some dirt. I've got Fafnir's kind of the only figure that I've sort of put any weathering powders on yet.
Yeah.
So I need to get onto that, but I want to do that later on once I've got like the whole army pretty much done, and I'll do weathering and then do like a clear coat on a bunch of figures all at in one go.
Phalanx Warder Squad's looking brilliant. Both the axes on the shields and the axes in real life, they're all looking great.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the axes are all freehand. The other symbols on them are transfers, and trying to get the white to sort of match was a bit of a pain. But I think it's close enough. As long as you don't look too closely.
I would have.
I didn't notice it was a different white, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't see the difference. They're really nice.
The power weapons are very nice.
Thank you. Yeah, that took a little while. I'm somewhat regretting doing that much wet blending power weapons in an army that I've got another squad of these guys to do as well, and I've already done the Templars, so it's been a lot of power weapons.
Yeah, there is something weird about like I was putting together breaches as well, and obviously they've got the thing in the shield where their gun goes through, which then implies that they're going to poke their axe through it.
Yeah. I mean, these guys have bolters as well as the axes, so they do have the port for the bolt gun does make sense.
Good. And then your support squad are up and running with the traditional Imperial Fist's massive heavy bolters. That's the key ring, isn't it?
They brought the biggest heavy bolters they could find.
Yeah.
I don't like the kind of like carried at the waist heavy bolter design.
Really?
At least the ones that they've done for Horus Heresy, where it's just bolter arms, but with a heavy bolter slapped underneath. It just doesn't look right. I like the over the shoulder heavy weapons more.
On the
I really like
the
sort of underslung ones.
I think Bobbie's right. The shoulder mounted is a lot more Rogue Trader. Right.
I also like the red.
Yeah, I'll give you that much.
I presume it's the red Sergeant helmet from Rogue Trader days.
Well, it's a red Sergeant helmets is a thing for Imperial Fists in Horus Heresy anyway.
Right.
But I decided that he would have a red helmet for being a sergeant and the black stripe because he's a heavy weapons trooper.
Yes.
Rather than a white stripe, which is the normal thing he has for being a sergeant. Just kind of inventing my own iconography rather than I'm following sort of what the books say, but the legions are so big that you may as well.
Yeah.
Have a bit of
I was
fun
going to
and
say,
do
I
something a
think
bit
it's
different.
like there's so much variety between chapters within each legion. But I think you can turn around and say, oh, well, my guy just decided it should be like this instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got some Terminators that look really nice. They look really one of the things I really like about this is they look really Heresy-fied. The studded shoulder pads and the fact they're just a bit cleaner and not full of bling.
Yeah, that was something I really, really worked on. Obviously, the studded shoulder pads are 3D printed, but there's a couple of models with some extra studs added on, like the heavy weapons guy in the back. The ones on his chest are added afterwards. Yeah, I took off some of the iconography, like the wings off of the wing skulls on the chests and things. I removed a lot of extra, as you say, extra bling. I took off to make them a little bit cleaner and make them look like they're new Terminators rather than ancient suits of Terminator armor.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, isn't it? Indomitus should be like the newest suits.
Yeah. I mean, the red helmet stripes mean these guys are still veterans. They're not going to put the new guys in the Terminator armor.
No.
I'd assume they'd reserve it for people that have
been
a bit more senior. But yeah, they've come along. The bases I want to put them on aren't out yet because I want to use the new Void War bases on them. So I've just they've got very plain brown bases. I thought I'd at least paint them to make them look a little less, because they were bright yellow still from being sprayed.
But the Void War bases for the new
boarding assaults
stuff.
It'll be coming at some point soon, is what I guess.
I wish I'd wait. Yeah, I bought just before they announced them and showed them. The day before, I bought 70 Necromunda bases for my army. Yeah, I was like, well, I'm not waiting. Fuck it, I'll just make them. They're all on Necromunda bases now.
Yeah, mine is all Necromunda, but I will mix in some of the Voids later. I think it's worth saying here, Terminator's legs look really good, like how they mix in with the Indominus body.
Yeah, the Gravis legs. Yeah, they're surprisingly exactly the right size, in my opinion. Like the right height, and the waist size is. I didn't have to do any extra filling or anything. I just chopped the top of the Gravis torso off and stuck the Terminator body on, and it just fits.
Yeah,
got the nice bubbliness, the same as the Power Fists. They just go together.
And the cables on the backs of the Terminator, you can't really see it in this photo, but the cables on the Terminator arms and on the Gravis legs are almost identical. They've got that same sort of like circular armored cable look to them.
Okay.
So it really matches.
Right. Yeah, no, they're beautiful. They're really, really good. And that's actually quite a terrifying... You've got a Contemptor, which makes it quite a scary force for Zone Mortalis. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I will say in the practice game I had, the Terminators turned up, got punched a bit by another Contemptor and ran off the board. So I haven't really had a chance to see if they're any good, because they didn't really do anything in the previous game.
No, but I still think
we've all got a Terminator unit, right? So we've got Eben Keshig, we've got Perga's bodyguard,
and Death Claw, grabby claw people in the Spaceballs.
Deathsworn Terminator.
Bobbie's Indomitus, and you're mixed.
I'm using them as Indomitus.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to see how Terminators behave and see when they go up against each other. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, look, looks great, Bobbie, and you will absolutely be ready with 1,000 points by the weekend.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna try and travel light and not bring my whole army up, because that's what I normally do when I come to Nottingham. Is I end up bringing like 3 or 4 armies worth of figures with me, just to sort of lay out, because it's a nice space to do it in. But I think I'm just going to bring these figures this time.
Right. Gary, how have you been doing? So you got an additional game in, not Zone Mortalis. You played Nathan's terrifying Terminator and Dreadnought army.
Yes, so I went to Nathan's house and we played on his, it's a new board that he's got, which is made out of like pop-up books.
Oh yeah, that's this stuff.
So like everything just folds away like really flat, and then when you put it out, it looks great. He has loads of Terminators. They all do fancy things. And it was a fun game, but I did not do very well.
His pokey Terminators are terrifying.
I 100% got out-Terminated. And the biggest thing is a Contemptor is scary. It just mushes things. It's got like so many attacks, and they're all brutal 3, which means every wound that goes through gets tripled.
Yeah.
And then it insta-kills, basically. Yeah. So he was insta-killing Terminators with his big squishy hand.
Do you know what's scarier than a Contemptor? Bloody Maragal Contemptor.
Hey, a spooky Contemptor.
That's the one.
They are good, but you can't take them in Zone Mortalis.
No, too many wounds.
They got one more wound because they're a demon, so they don't get as big a come.
Right. I learned that my wolves are a bit of a liability. Purga's bodyguard of wolves is a liability.
Yeah.
Because in combat, everybody sort of, you go against the unit's weapon scale, and you go against the unit's general toughness. The wounds were piling in against toughness 3. And so they've got to go, which kind of is what made me. I'm going to get someone else to walk the dogs. So she'll have another bodyguard, maybe a Stormcaller or something. Who walks the dog.
Yeah, we were talking. So the dogs can only go. The rule with the dogs is they can only go with a Master of the Legion, which only gives you 2 options, which we were talking about. And both of them are quite good options. One is that you keep her as your Praetor, and then you hire a Delegatus who goes with all your power armor troops and inspires them, and he has the dogs. Or you get a new Praetor who goes with all your powered armor troops and has the dogs in power armor, and then you make her. I thought the best thing was make her a warmonger, which turns all your Varangir into teleporters.
Not entirely sure. So I can't take a Stormcaller as the dog walker.
The only person who can be the only people who can be dog walkers are a Master of the Legion. So it has to be your Praetor or Delegatus Consul.
I might end up just leaving the dogs at home.
Shame.
They need walking. It's a shame.
You know what? They could just be decorative things that run around the board looking pretty.
Yeah. Now the game was quite good with I did learn a lot about the Emperor's Children's, like the way they've got different stances and stuff. So that was quite interesting. My snipers again underperformed. They just weren't getting enough, hits in to get the pinning at the right times, and so they may be one of the first squads I don't take in various games, especially in Zone Mortalis, where I don't get the long corridors. So.
Yeah, I think Zone Mortalis. I think sniper scouts aren't really going to perform. I think they're going to be almost borderline a liability.
But I think they're useful. Again, you were playing against the Terminator army.
Yeah.
So you're looking for Wrens or nothing.
Yeah, sure.
And I guess they might be a bit more useful against like regular squads with regular sergeants.
I think that's what you need. You need something that's going to be taking 3-up saves, not, but whenever they come, you get like 2 wins in. If he's got a 4-up and vulnerable and makes both, then nothing happens.
Yeah. Whereas against,
where you only need to get 1 wound to go through. You don't even need to kill something. You just need 1 wound. But if you don't get a wound, you don't get a pinning check. And then they're all Space Marines. They'll probably pass that check anyway. So
the nice thing about them against power armors, and you did this in that game against me, my word bearers, is that if you get that 1 wound through, because it's preferred enemy, you get to allocate it, precision shot, sorry. And then you definitely kill the sergeant, and then they take a leadership a pinning check on 1 lower.
Yeah.
On 6.
7 rather than 8.
6 rather than 7.
6 rather than 7.
Yeah, which obviously isn't as bad against my guys, but yeah, brilliant. So another game in, and then you've got so you've done a ton of other hobby things that aren't this scary.
Yeah, so I played that game, and then after that I was like, right, I'm taking a little break. The first thing I did is I made a black box, like an anti-light box, for doing photos with a pure black background.
Yeah, using Black 3.0.
Yeah, so that's Culture Hustle special paint. That's a bit like Vanta Black or some of these light absorbing. And it worked quite well. I still had to lower the exposure as I took photos to get complete black in there. Like the camera would still see a sort of gray. But yeah, it was pretty good, pretty easy to take photos. And then I built some more squats for my undead squats on hoverboards. Then I did a bit of Blood Bowl. Finished off a Bright Crusaders team that's been in the backlog for a long time. And then I realized, I'm running out of time. So I went back to the
Crusaders,
idea.
Though.
To get the Bright Crusaders, I love them, but I'm not painting blue and white stripes with yellow panels.
Hold on, have we
blue and white stripes?
Have we just discovered that Russ is painting his whole army like the Bright Crusaders?
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. Realized I'm going to need to get rid of the dog bodyguard, so I jumped ship to do the actual bodyguard, which I got ages ago, which is the Ferengi.
The Ferengi, but yeah, fine, the Ferengi.
Oh, okay, I get it.
And so I loved the kit. I started off with Purga, was already in that style of armor.
Yeah.
So got the 5 from Forge World. They went together really easily. Mm-hmm. Very little cleanup to do. Removed 2 heads, replaced them with a Stormcast head and a Necromunda Escher head.
Mm-hmm. You got a mixed unit?
Yeah, so the unit's fully mixed, and I used the same Terminator cloak again on one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've saved the 2 upper bodies, so I can still use them. Like when I removed them, they were cut off pretty clean at the waist, so I still use those torsos if I want to make the squad bigger.
They'd be good for doing like a sergeant, and if you just had a normal squad of Cataphracti, just to make the sergeant a little bit more fancy.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so because they are really good sculpts, it would be a shame to just drill out their face.
Yeah,
like I did with Purga's one. But so the 2 ladies have actually got regular plastic Cataphracti torsos on the Ferengi legs and arms.
Yes.
So it was pretty easy conversions to do, and they've looked really good. And
you know what? Those spare those 2 spare Ferengi torsos will be they're the sort of thing you end up making consoles out of.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
That's the sort of thing where you get like the wolfiest other bits, and you make a what do you call it, a rune priest or something like that. Like that's your consoles there.
Get a Terminator librarian hand holding up like a Force Lightning type something or other. I've got
a spare Terminator librarian staff arm if you want that.
Yeah. Oh, that was the other thing. I did darken down Purga's armor again. I decided to go even darker with the Space Wolf armor. So
looks great. Brilliant.
It just looked 240k when it was a lighter blue. So yeah. And then to finish off this month, I did 2 objectives. I did the crashed pilot, the crashed Aquila pilot, and his little fuel rod MacGuffin.
Oh, yeah.
Great. I haven't thought about objectives. Maybe I should do objectives. Maybe a selection of birds. Brilliant. So you're all ready to go. Are you going to try and get anything else done by the end of the week, or are you good?
I spray painted my first tactical squad. Whether or not they make it or not, I'm not sure if I get the time. But yeah, so if I can find that, I'll just drop 1 or 2 Death Swarm Terminators. That'll get the 100 points for a tactical squad.
Yeah,
which is going to be a lot more useful. Yeah,
to grab objectives. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
if you don't do them tacticals though, you'll have to use scouts as your troops, won't you?
Well, if I use the Rite of War, Pride of the Legion, is it? That gives the Terminators, then they'll be my line troops. So,
of course.
Yeah,
I've got to work out if Ferengi count as Cataphracti Terminators, or if
they do.
Yeah,
they do. They
so
count the counter
in which
troops.
case, I will have Ferengi or line, and the 2. If I chop it into 2 squads of 5.
Doesn't work that way because only compulsory troops become line. And in Zone Mortalis, you only get 1 compulsory troops slot.
Ooh.
So one of your Terminators can become line,
which makes it even more useful.
Sort of line if you rely on that too much.
Which that makes it even more important to get those tacticals done because they're always line.
I shouldn't have told him that, should I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like I will make that squad of Terminators as big as possible and try and get the tacticals finished as well. Yeah. And I'm definitely dropping the Sniper Scouts for this Zone Mortalis.
Yeah, Zone Mortalis.
Yeah, but the regular Scouts will be useful for being, harassing from the sides and stuff.
It looks good. you're going to have loads of options, hopefully get the tacticals done. And yeah, well on the way. Brilliant. I have reached that month. So I've got to that month, the month we always get to in these, where I suddenly have an army. I got to the month where everything's got its base colours on, and now I have to oil wash them, which meant gloss varnishing everything, oil washing everything, basing everything, and removing the oils and finishing everything. So that all took me about a week to do all that. The procedure of gloss varnish 70 models, 66 models it was, gloss varnish 66 models, wait a day for the gloss varnish to go hard enough, oil wash them, remove the oil wash. I stunk my entire house out. I built half a pot of oil paint. I had to go hunting around London to get another new pot of good burnt umber with fine grains. I needed to, I stunk my house out with white spirit for a couple of days. So I had to exist with all the windows open.
Good question. What brand do you use for your burnt umber?
I use the proper Windsor & Newton, so not the Winton, which is their cheap one. I use the Windsor & Newton. A small tube costs like...
Yeah, the last time when I went to try and get some of... Yeah, I couldn't get the Windsor & Newton stuff, so I landed up having to buy the Cassart's own brand.
That's probably okay, actually. Cassart's are usually pretty good.
I'm thinking the guy in the shop said, it's just as good, so I'm hoping it is.
I mean, to be honest, even cheap oil paint's fine for what we're doing. The part of the purpose is making it dirty. But yeah, I bought some of the nice stuff this time, just because it's white armor. So I thought maybe I should be a bit less messy. The only real difference in oil paints is that as the cost goes up, the fineness of the pigment is finer, in theory.
Yeah.
Whether it makes a difference in what we're doing, I'm not sure. Anyway, so I did that for a week, and I now have all the infantry done. I mean, almost all the infantry. I've got a few ideas, but everything I've been painted. So, in order, we have finished one tactical squad with chain blades. The leader there is in some Mark II elements, and he's got a metal sword from the old White Scars biker kit from the 90s. I've got a breacher squad. These guys have... they're all in Mark II. With some lovely 3D printed shoulder pads. They're all painted up that Bobbie made for me. And shields are actually they're actually a damage set of Zinj Industries shields that I picked up at Zinj are horrible, but I picked them up at in their bargain bucket years ago at a
loads of those old shields.
One of those salutes. Yeah, so they're really good. They're all damaged, but that's fine. I just filled some gaps and made them look damaged. I've got weathering, it's fine. Some of them have got holes in, fine. So I did that. I've got a recon squad, which I painted in the classic camo scheme. They're not going to be in the Zone Mortalis because they've all got sniper rifles. I've got two tactical support squads, one with Volkite Calivers and one with Volkite Culverins. No, that's wrong. Volkite Calivers and Volkite Chargers. Looked at Calivers, they're way too expensive. Actually turns out that the heavy support squad with Culverins are the same cost as a tactical support squad with Calivers.
Yeah.
It's because a tactical support squad, you add 5 to give them Volkite Chargers, so you add 10 to give them Volkite Calivers, which are like heavy 1, strength 6 weapons. But in the heavy support squads, you add 10 to give them Volkite Culverins, which are the heavy weapon version, are much better. So, yeah, I'm not sure the Calivers will get a lot of use, but I've got them.
Is that a mistake where they gave it heavy instead of assault or something?
No, it's always had heavy. I think it's just they've not thought about the implications. Like, you can take them as troops, which I guess is useful, but not really in a White Scars army, because you never have too many heavies in a White Scars army. I don't know. I think it's just one of those things that's probably a bad choice to take, but fine, whatever. I got the Praetor done. He's got his burb and his big stick. There, he's done. And then I also got his Eben Keshig, who are not his bodyguard. So 5 Eben Keshig, they're all up and running. And then finally some Falcon's Claws. So the 10 Falcon's Claws are done. Scouts with lightning claws, and their cloaks also have the fancy colour scheme. So yeah, brilliant. They're done. I've got an army. It's all done.
Will the Falcon's Claws make it into your Zone Mortalis?
I don't know. That basically they're going to make it in if my next job doesn't happen. So one thing I'd love to get painted this week. I've also converted up some Cataphracti, and I've done 5 with lightning claws and 5 as a command squad. I did a little project where I made 5 as a command squad and also they can be their own, like, the standard bearer could also be a herald, and one of the guys has got a sword and looks like he'd also be a champion. So
okay.
The nice thing about a command squad in Zone Mortalis is that the flag means their line. Like a command squad is always line. So they might be useful to put in, but if I don't get that done in time this week, I'll do the Falcon's Claws. Otherwise, I think if I ever add more infantry to this, it's probably just going to be another tactical squad, just for lineness. Maybe a tactical squad, these Terminators, and Gary gave me 5 Volkite Culverins, which seems like a good choice to put in. So that might come in the future. But otherwise, yeah, kind of done. The next plan, as we hit December, I've got 2 more things to do. One of which is painting all the tanks, which is a few Rhinos, Land Raider, Flyer, maybe some Speeders. And one is painting the bikes. Kind of leaning towards maybe spending December doing the tanks, because then these guys are more usable. If I do...
That makes sense.
If I do the transport vehicles, then these guys become very usable in a normal game, and then I can do January, February, all the bikes and speeders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's quite a quick thing to do. Like, it's a Spartan and 3 Rhinos and a Xiphon, which are all like big, white, flat things, Well,
your way of doing things is very, very much leans itself towards that sort of painting, those sort of things, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah, so vehicles are very fast for me because of that. Faster than infantry. So yeah, maybe that's the December plan. But yeah, so I've got my 1,000 points. I think I've got more than 1,000 points. The 1,000 points for this, I think it ideally will be. I think the idea is tactical squad, Volkite Charger squad, Eben Keshig, Praetor in his command squad. And if I don't get the command squad done, it'll be Praetor and 5 Falcon Claws. And that's what we'll do. Yeah. So that's ready to go, and we'll see what we get. Now, everyone has submitted stuff. We are at the point where we look through everyone's stuff, and my God, there's a lot. I'm amazed that we're getting more people. We're getting more people joining as we go on, which is not how this usually goes. Usually you lose people as you go on. So yeah, it's a long one. We've got a lot of people. So are we all ready to have a look at these fantastic entries? People are really getting their armies together as well.
I might put my paints down so I can actually.
I think you should look at these, Russ. Yeah. I realise you're putting many, many layers of yellow on some pink, but okay, here we go. Brilliant. So first up, we've got Simon. Simon's been doing one of our many Imperial Fists contributors. Simon's been focusing on characters. 2 apothecaries. Looks like all the base coats are going down on those. Second Contemptor, and a Predator, which I always like to see. A Praetor, which I always like to see. And that means for him, all the box set is painted apart from the Spartan, which is quite nice.
It's really good going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like the pop of green on the Praetor, like on his cloak, and
it's similar to what you've got on yours, isn't it? Steve was doing 1,000 Suns, and he has sent in 1,000 Sun. It's this special 1,000 Sun psychic mega robot, which is looking really good. It's basically just big, as he says, a couple of big boy autumn projects, splitting time between Custodians and 1,000 Suns. We've got, oh my God, I didn't read that properly. A work in progress Castellax Achaea, which is the 1,000 Sun magic robot. But then I didn't realize this was 2. A pair of Telemon heavy dreadnoughts.
Yeah, they look really cool, the Telemons.
They're
such
cool
the one
models.
that's sort of like spread across the pipe and just really,
They look a lot more dynamic than the stock model does.
Are they like a special unit for 1,000 Suns, or are
no?
They...
Oh, so the Castellax are the robot. The red robot is a special unit for the 1,000 Suns. Like, they can take special, psychically better controlled, basically. I think they're robots that you control with a psycho rather than robots you control with like a technician.
Yeah. There's a Rite of War that the 1,000 Suns can take, where you have to take a Praevian and a Tech Marine. But in 1,000 Suns, then those both, because they are characters, they land up taking the Psyker upgrade as well.
Yeah.
And then you can take Castellax Achaea as a troops choice. I think they might even gain line. I can't remember for sure. Because I actually did look at, right, hang on, how can I get as many robots in one army as possible?
Sidekick robots. Spooky magic robots.
Sort of consider, well, instead of mechanic allies, I could have Thousand Suns allies with more robots.
Yeah.
Then I realised I'm being silly.
And then the Custodes dreadnoughts, Gary, are they're the big mega dreadnought. They're actually, that thing is stands significantly taller than a Contemptor.
It's almost the size of a knight, aren't they?
Yeah, they're huge. Really lovely models.
A huge missile rack on the back as well.
Yeah.
That like a whirlwind or something?
Something like that. It's, yeah. Basically, all the Custodes weapons are Imperial weapons, just better. So, yeah. Yep. Macariel is making good progress, also with White Scars. These are looking very neat. So, November update completed. Some breaches. I like White Scars breaches. It seems wrong, but it's so right. Terminators and heavy weapons. The Terminators have some glaives there. I think those are Grey Knight glaives. And then 2 apothecaries that aren't quite finished yet.
Where are those breacher shields from?
Don't know. They're not. They might be Ogryn slab shields.
They'd surely be too big for that.
Don't know, actually. Those look quite bigger than... Like those breacher shields are a head height on those Marines.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see those.
They've got the little view screens for the eyes, haven't they?
Yeah, and if you've assembled your Ogryns with the if you assemble your Ogryns with the little shields, then possibly. Yeah, Ogryn slab shields. Yeah, those are brilliant. So then we've got an update from Ed, who's been quiet for a few months because he was our friend Ed has been trying to get 2,000 points of Death Guard together or Dusk Raiders for his for an event at the Hate Club that I couldn't go to because I was away working. But there was a little 2,000 point Heresy event at Hate Club a few weeks ago. Ed was trying to get ready. So he has sent us not only quite a big update, but also the plot. His Dusk Raiders, who, and I will summarize, the 119th Independent Company, Loyalist Death Guard, who are Dusk Raiders, that's why they got the red hands. They were originally part of a corps within the Dusk Raiders during the Crusade that specialized in infantry assaults in deep space, just like my guys. From Old Albia and then from the Belter coalitions, like in The Expanse, which means I think they're all South African. Brilliant. They were also equipped with high-speed, massive mass transport vessels. When Mortarion was discovered and took over command of the Legion, he broke them up, and the Terrans were redeployed as specialist weapon squads. And one of these new formations was also called the 119th Company, and that means they were delayed from arriving at Isfahan 3. They got wind of the betrayal before they made planetfall, led a mutiny, killed all the Barbaran Death Guard, and declared the rest of them for the Loyalist cause, and then resupplied themselves by raiding outposts and requisitioning equipment in the name of the Emperor, and then eventually got mixed up with Druth II in the Segmentum Ultima, which was the plot for the Hate Club game. So yes, he's got a load of hardcore Terran loyalists slowly degenerating into space pirates, basically, with looted equipment and old Martian weapons. And turns out there's loads of them now. Look at this. Yeah, there's loads of them. I particularly like the old school Predators. They are one of my favorite sorts of Predator, the boxy topped ones. I'm painting a few for my Emperor's children. They look really good. And then loads and loads of bits of metal models, random agglomerations of model kits, and a very nice, I think, quad las cannon there made out of what's that, Russ?
That's 5 plastic dome-topped Predators for my White Scar.
Very good. I've got 3 of those for my word bearers.
I love old Predators. They're amazing.
And yeah, so
sorry.
So yeah, Ed has a lovely selection of models and a lovely backstory to go with them, and a 2,000 point army, which is nice.
His backstory is really similar to mine in some ways, because yeah, my guys are sort of, they're not following Horus. Mine aren't quite necessarily loyal to the Emperor, but they're definitely not loyal to Horus.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've got that whole sort of planning to go Black Shield route if and when we get rules that would work for my army sort of thing as well. But yeah, I mean, Ed's always good at the narrative part of things.
He is. These are absolutely lovely. Brilliant. Neil is doing word bearers. So a little update. Got the Spartan, last thing they completed from the Age of Darkness box, which is lovely. And then some Ashen Circle and a Champion converted from an Inquisitor, which is nice. I've got some Ashen Circle to paint up. They look very good.
Yeah, I really love the Ashen Circle. They're very, very fancy.
Yeah, they're lovely models, those.
That new model of the guy stabbing the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, the book stabber.
Chopping up a book.
Yeah.
Mark is doing Night Lords. This is a new patron, new submission. So they're doing Heresy Night Lords, and they've got some big, terrifying Terminators there, aiming to get the bigger things finished first before they crack on with the infantry, running it as Pride of the Legion at the moment, or Terror Assault eventually. So yeah, Instagram is Mr. Wargammer123, and it looks like they've got some Terror Squads just coming along there with the green stuff, skin on their legs there. It's really nice.
Now, do you reckon he's actually Wargammer? Do you think that's a typo and he's Mr. Wargamer123, or do you think he's actually Mr. Wargammer123?
I think it is Mr. Wargammer. I think it's Mr. Wargammer, but we'll find out when they correct us next time.
I'll have a look in a minute. I like the fact he's green stuffed loads of flayed skin onto his power armored troops there.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I like. Yeah, the leg flayed skin. It's really good. Surrey has done some salamanders. Of course, we love this salamanders. This is a wibbly wobbly Kratos.
Every time.
Every time. It's brilliant every time. We'll never get tired of this.
Yeah.
It's such a good idea. They look really good. So Surrey's got that. Beautiful work. Kenny is doing another person who I think a few people have got distracted by Talons of the Emperor this time. Kenny's been doing Thousand Suns and Custodes. Sporadic progress, but they've got all the red base coats down on blocking in the main colours on the Thousand Suns, which are starting to look really good, doing that glossy, shiny red. And then painted this absolute monster. That is an Ares pattern gunship for the Custodes. And it is a colossal lump of... That's like 100 mil base or 120 mil base.
Yeah.
That thing is huge.
Yeah, I remember seeing one in a case up at Warhammer World, and they're pretty massive.
Yeah. That is a big lump of resin right there.
You know what? It's not everyone who can actually pull off that metallic red. Where I'm guessing that's probably painted metallic, and then it's got like the red. Some people do contrast paint, some people do inks. I think lots of different ways of achieving it.
Yeah,
but not everyone can pull it off. But Kenny, right? Yeah. Kenny's definitely pulled off that gloss.
It looks like they've done some like pre-shading under the red, especially on those kind of like nacelles on the dropship.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah, they're absolutely lovely. Good use of the Custodes transfers there as well, which are very on. Yeah. Really, really good. Ben has been doing his white scars. So Ben's done. It looks like a lot of building this week. So 10 plasmas, 10 Volkite calibers, heavy support squads, 10 Tartaros, 10 Cataphracti, and a Contemptor. Loads done there. Apparently, once it's all done, it'll be 3,700 points. And the intent is to get them done by Christmas, and then he can spend Christmas doing the Khan.
And then have 4,000 points.
Yeah. That's a 4,000 point army. That's brilliant. Will's another new entrant doing Blood Angels. They've just been doing a bit of building. So got the first 5 Mark III mixed Mark IV Sergeant there. Little bit of... They had a hip replacement. Bloody hell. But I assume that means you can't move very much, so you have to sit down and paint models for a while.
It's almost like you read it the way it's written here. It's almost like I bought the box, but I knew I'd have loads of time off because luckily enough I was going to have a hip operation. It almost sounds like luckily enough I was having a hip replacement. But I'm pretty sure a friend of mine had a hip replacement, and she was it's not an easy thing to recover from. So good luck with the good best wishes for the recovery, I guess. Yeah, these are looking great. Good first steps, and a nice set of Cataphracti there coming along. So Blood Angels will be on their way. Davide is doing... I've put Talons here because he's doing a load of different things. So Davide's doing Custodes, which are converted Stormcast, with some sisters in there too, which also look like converted Stormcast, which works actually really, really well. Those are Grey Knight Falchions and Custodes heads and weapons. But that looks really, really good. So the Custodes are coming along.
And then they've started doing some Thunder Warriors. I really like this because the usual way to do Thunder Warriors is to use Stormcast. So they've done Stormcast for the Custodes, and then Goliaths for the Thunder Warriors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Goliath bodies. Yeah,
yeah, really nice.
I'm not sure what the helmets are though.
No, they're Cadians with bits on, I think.
Yeah, they look like Cadian
heads. Cadians
and top knots extras from Chaos Space Marines,
maybe, yeah,
or possibly Orcs. I think Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah, you can. Anvil are actually. They say there that they're trying to find top knots. Anvil Industry do a little set sprue of top knots. It's really handy. I've been using them on the White Scars. Yeah, they're looking great, brilliant. Also, Necromunda bases. Gil has done Ultramarines, a little bit of progress just on his 242nd company Ultramarines. First batch of Marines are done, and here's a little sample. Some really nicely weathered, simple Ultramarines there.
I hate it when people just don't bother putting in the effort on a model and just do anything sort of slapdash like that and just, don't put the time in, don't you?
What are you talking about?
It's really good.
It's really good.
So good.
It's really good. Yeah.
I saved the meanest comments for the best stuff, if I'm honest.
They're really good.
Yeah.
Walking Coffins next, which I think is the best way to describe Dreadnoughts. Jasper has been doing World Eaters. We've got a few World Eaters people. Jasper's got 3. This is always terrifying when you're doing World Eaters. 3 Contemptors, 2 of them with slicey hands.
Yeah.
That's
going to be horrible to face.
Yeah. So waiting for transfers, and then they'll get their oil wash to make them look suitably, and presumably some blood as well, I would imagine, because, World Eaters, they're looking good. Very nice, the very pale blue there makes them look a bit different to Ultramarines. But then Yale, Studio Gary, has also submitted their World Eaters, which are of the red variety, the later World Eaters. Battle ready stuff. They like painting everything at once. So this is sort of base coat, and it looks like weatherings and things level here. There are a couple of done dreadnoughts with all the weathering on them. Which are looking particularly
amazing,
grubby. I like the use.
I should be mean about them as well because I'm jealous.
Yeah, I like the use of the Ogre Kingdom's gut plate there on the Contemptor.
Oh yeah,
that's really nice. And then
so good for World Eaters. It's absolutely perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same thing. And then the vehicles are all like blocked in at the moment. So they're trying to get everything ready for mid-December is the idea. So I think those will be done. That looks pretty good. So Asa in Finland has been painting their Phoenix Terminators. I think this is their friends Phoenix Terminators and Tartaros Terminators. Which are looking really good. Banners are the Custodes ones. Why they're big eagles.
That banner works so well for Emperor's Children.
Yeah.
And you always end up with loads of spares of them because you have one in every single box of Custodes you get.
You do. Yeah. And then, loads of little conversions in there. The swords apparently are Myrmidesh Painbrillinger swords, which are a lovely kit. That makes total sense for Slanesh. And then we have another new entrant, Ian. Another Ian is doing Night Lords, sending these in from Australia. Finally jumping in. Night Lords 8th Company, led by a to-be-named Praetor. A few models worth showing off there, and then a full army shot. The lightning effect looks great.
Yeah, it's insane.
Lovely lightning.
Yeah, they're really good, aren't they?
Well, on the that big plasma destroyer or whatever is on top of the
Sikaran.
Yeah,
it's a Sikaran Amiga, I think.
Yeah,
they're looking really, really good. I like that.
I think that's what it's called. Yeah,
a lot of people have trouble with the lightning effect, but this is looking great. Magic Mushrooms, as you remember, was doing Imperial Fists and Iron Warriors, and they've made a lot of progress on their Iron Warriors. Inspired to do a Proteus Land Raider by the fantastic On Sprue review made by Bobbie.
Well, that's really good. I'm glad that someone enjoyed it and actually went out and bought one.
Bought 3. 2 more are waiting.
That's even better. I mean, for Games Workshop, I'm getting no kickback on this at all.
So Games Workshop, take note. That's that Bobbie. She needs some more free models. Loads in there. New this month: a Proteus, 3 Contemptors, 2 Predator Executioners, Warsmith, Tyrant Terminators, Leviathan, Dominator Cohort, and a Spartan. Yeah,
so much. I mean, Iron Warriors are supposedly one of the easier things to paint because of all the metallics, but that's a huge amount to paint in 1 month.
Yeah, that's loads. But yes, apparently seriously lacking line units. So yeah. So good luck making it full of line stuff. All the specials at least are there. But yeah, looks brilliant. Andrew has been doing their Raven Guard. So Raven Guard, they're doing the Raven Guard with the allies, the Raven Guard Allied Detachment Militia list. So they've got the first 10 militia built from Perry Agincourt Foot Knights, some assault squads, and 3 robots, which are going to be Castellax, but they're made from all sorts of robot-y bits. I can't actually tell what they all are. I think that's like an AT-43 vehicle in there.
So it's a Reaver Titan on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the old one, yeah.
It's a Troll Soup Cataphract robot.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't work out what the one on the right is. I don't know if I recognise it.
Yeah.
Anyway, very nice.
They're looking good though. Yeah, that's really nice. Lovely. Luke is doing Sons of Horus, another new entrant, or hasn't sent in anything for a little while. But yes, started in August, long break for work until mid-October, and now catching up. So it looks like the army's mostly built. 16th Assault Company of the Sons of Horus. Trying to get it up to 3,000 points for next year to then join in some games. Sounds like their local group is playing at full size only, which, great if you've got the models already. But yeah, so these are coming along really well. I do always like that Sons of Horus green, and there looks like lots of like characterful models in there. Massive flag herald guy always looks good.
I like the extra spiky Leviathan in the back.
Yeah, he's got a chaos, one of those chaos circly bits on as a halo.
Iron halo, yeah.
Yeah, that's all looking really, really nice. Yeah, lovely. Coming along really, really well. You probably got enough there for a smaller game to start with. Just that amount of tacticals and Terminators. Yeah, looking really good. Paul Jarfengel with his Blood Angels, trying to get everything finished for 1,000 points of Zone Mortalis to be in time with us, I think. So, finished. 10 Mark IV Breachers, converted from Ultramarines Praetorians. 5 Heavy Support Marines with Heavy Flamers, very good in Zone Mortalis. And a Mark IV Apothecary, and has done the thing with the legs. Once seen, it cannot be unseen, Russ.
Because he's the apothecary with he had his ankle swingers on.
Oh yeah,
so he's the one where I lengthened his trousers, and I think Jarfe's also obviously lengthened the trousers that he's wearing, so they're not ankle swingers anymore because he doesn't want any hipsters in his army.
Brilliant. So that's all done.
Class.
Oh my gosh.
Lovely glowing red on that Blood Angel armor.
Yeah, I like the blankness of those shields as well. It's really nice.
Yeah.
William has done some Death Guard. So they were trying to get everything ready. Their partner was helping them paint. They were trying to get everything ready for the Goonhammer Open, and they did the Goonhammer Open. A fun weekend. Everyone was great. The organisation was really good, and they won second in the best painted army.
Congratulations!
Which is really good. Brilliant. So yeah, they've and as William says, managed to play quite a lot of Horus Heresy in the last month, and I think it's a good sign for the game system that the losses have been as much fun as the wins.
I don't know if I've won a game yet. I've still enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's fun. Kay has sent in not a lot of progress on the Iron Hands, but got a few characters made. So Kay was doing all the light up stuff. Has been doing mostly commissions, including apparently fitting actual lasers to a Revan Titan arm. But they have done some Iron Hands editions, lots of Tech Marines basically and Iron Fathers, and converting some 40k Terminators into Gorgons. But yeah, so lots of silly things going on. The Gorgons are all going to have blinking status indicator lights on them, blinking red or orange. Loads of stuff going on there. Stuart has then painted their very anime conversion. They did a version of Corswain as a character model, which is the Black Templar Emperor's champion, isn't it? With a different head and the biggest choppy sword I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's bigger than...
It looks good. They're worried about the blending, but I think the blending looks fantastic. But Jesus Christ, that's a massive sword.
Yeah,
he said.
Overcompensating.
Diego has jumped in with their Night Lords. We've got a lot of Night Lords around now. Added a few things. So just basically, it has been away for a while, and this was all done in the last few days. A Terror Squad, an Infiltrator Squad, and the first of 2 drop pods. Which is nice.
Really nice neon-y blue, isn't it?
Yeah, really bright and vibrant there, which is lovely. Really, really good. A few little updates as well. Apotheon has done a full unit of Terminators, finished. I think Apotheon's doing Alpha Legion, and these are sneaky, pretending to be something else Alpha Legion. Really, really good. And then also, Dave has also done the same thing. So Dave was doing some lovely Space Wolves and Space Wolf tanks, and now has some Space Wolf Terminators, some Cataphractii Terminators. So yeah, everyone getting their Cataphractii done. And then David has done Alpha Legion. So David's got a huge amount of models extra done here. They've done decent inroads into a big pile of minis. They've got 10 Tactical Marines, 5 Cataphracties, 3 Veterans, 4 Imperial Navy peeps, an Arbiters to run in Cult Militias, and an Exodus kit bash from K-Van Strike. Loads going on there. And I like the fantastically silly banner on the back there of the Rogue Trader Marine. So Colorblind is back. They were restoring a load of rhinos last time. I think Raven Guard, if I'm right. And are doing loads and loads of extra tanks and things. A lovely restoration there of an original Land Raider, which is really nice, and some Star Launcher Marines. They've also done a homage to that Rogue Trader image of the medic harvesting gene seed. If a silly idea is worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Alex has done some Thousand Suns. These always look fucking brilliant. Still not quite finished with any one unit, but everything's here on their bases with at least the gold and clear red sprayed on. Larger images, the most complete squad of veterans with some more inset of other stuff. That's all looking really nice. I like the use of the old, I think we said this before, Wargames exclusive Thousand Sun backpacks there. Jenny is in with her militia. So their militia army is coming along nicely. Didn't get as much done as they wanted. No tanks yet, but managed to round out command elements. So we've got 3 Discipline Masters, 3 Medicae Orderlies, and a command corps for the officer and regimental standard, and some artillery crew. So yeah, these are all creative, made from those Wargames Factory Le Grognard's kit. And no Force Commander yet, but there's a few prints they want to use. And yeah, next month is Tank Month. Alexander then has sent in quite a huge amount of progress actually on their Imperial Fists. Finished the big 20 Marine unit. Got a solid base of Bolt of Fire and both Cataphractii units, and built one of them as Huskarls to get some variation. And there's a bit of colour variation, as we said before, but that makes them look more realistic, to be honest. Lots of other things finished here. Spartans coming along. Contemptors almost done. Rotor Cannons are almost done. Yeah, the whole army's looking really, really good. Tom has joined in with their Alpha Legion. Not much progress, but they finally got to play a game. Alpha Legions were being loyalists against some traitor Thousand Suns due to campaign rules. Just some lovely moments from a little 750-point game to try out their Alpha Legion. And there we are. There is all our progress for the month. So, well done, everyone. Armies are really coming along. Cool. Well, look, thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining me once again. Everything's looking great, and I will see you all at the weekend to play some actual games with these. See you next time, everybody. Bye.